brave adventures tonight with our mighty team. Heroes we become, living out the dream. Roll the dice, feel the thrill, monsters we will overthrow, questing with friends in the RPG show.
Why is this a thing? You know, whenever we play another round of tabletop role-playing game, Controversy Jeopardy, I'm always surprised how many times the same topic comes up over and over again. And I'm more surprised when brand new topics come up for tabletop role-playing game Controversy Jeopardy. I'm no longer calling it the wheel of outrageous tabletop role-playing game concept because it's just gotten too big. It is past Wheel of Fortune and moved on to Jeopardy. The prizes are bigger. The failures are bigger. The categories are weirder. And we historically have had 3 brand new categories entered onto the board in the past 3 weeks. The Basic Expert and his Mythic Dungeon, brand new. Kelsey Dion Shadow Dark, brand new. And this week with the Ginger Harmony Ginger controversy, brand new. I'm not going to touch on the Harmony Ginger controversy in this video because she has asked me not to. So instead, I'm going to talk about the other controversy that's come up recently this last couple days. And I'm not sure. I mean, I know we have spent a lot of time bagging on the Wizards of the Coast art and the change from action, adventure, inspirational, this art makes me want to play D&D art, to the more homespun, comfy cottagecore art that a lot of us have said, well, this doesn't really say D&D to me. For most of the art, I've said of 80% of the pictures, I've said, this is fine. This is a great picture. It's just not D&D. It'd be a perfect picture for a completely different game. Or this is a great picture for this, but for that, no, not so much. I mean, with Dungeons and Dragons, even 2024 Dungeons and Dragons, you're trying to sell a very specific idea. The point of the art is to get that idea across. That's the first thing you want people to register: sight, smell, touch, taste. You know, so if you can visually stimulate that interest, then you're halfway there. The main complaint I've had for the art has not been that it's bad. It's that it doesn't inspire the idea. So this is the latest piece of art from Wizards for D&D 50th. And apparently it has got a lot of people upset, but not for the reason you'd think people were upset. People are not upset because it portrays our fantasy characters in a more homespun, comfy, cozy, cottagecore, relaxing type of view. Or even, you know, that it portrays members of a certain species as members of something else, i.e. Hispanic orcs. No, they're upset because there's a taco and sushi on the table. And this lady is using chopsticks to eat her food. So that is what people are upset about. They cannot cross the consistency border. Tacos and sushi in D&D is inconsistent with the logic of D&D because, you know, the historical consistency of Dungeons and Dragons is such a big, important, powerful thing that any violation to that consistency is shot out, because we know how historically accurate Dungeons and Dragons is, right? Right. And we know for a fact what people ate during the Middle Ages, of which Dungeons and Dragons is a historically accurate representation of. And we can definitely say, as far as we know, nobody in medieval England during the Dark Ages was eating tacos and sushi. Not to say that people weren't eating tacos and people weren't eating sushi. People might have been eating tacos or some version of tacos. People might have been eating sushi. People might have been eating something with chopsticks out of a bowl. But definitely in medieval Europe, there were no onigiri. There was no tacos. There is no sushi because, again, tacos and sushi violate the consistency of Dungeons and Dragons. I just want you to wrap your head around that again. The fact that this image portrays certain foods from not Western medieval culture. Actually, it portrays several foods. We've got chili over here. We've got sushi over here. We've got, I think, hash browns here. We've got a drink with a umbrella in it. We've got onigiri. We've got some type of dead animal. We've got pumpkin soup. We've got what looks like shish kebab. Tea. The taco, of course. Not sure what this is. Maybe more tacos. And then the young lady over here has got a bowl of noodles that she's eating with a chopsticks. And the half orc or whatever this is eating, I don't know, either toast or a piece of meat or those giant fish cakes that you can get from stalls in Japan with the bean curd inside. I'm not sure what she's eating. So we're upset that this violates the consistency of Dungeons and Dragons. The consistency of Dungeons and Dragons. The consistency of Dungeons and Dragons. What consistency? There is no consistency in Dungeons and Dragons. The only consistency varies from campaign to campaign and from world to world. If you, running your game, decide that, yes, sushi exists in my world, yes, tacos exist in my world, then that is consistent to your world. And if you decide, no, in my world, there are no tacos and sushi or bibimbap, and then, yeah, okay, that would be consistent to the fact that you have decided that nobody has created tacos. Putting food in bread being one of the oldest form of carrying food known in existence, but okay, at no point in time has somebody invented that, then yes, again, you're establishing the consistency. But in regards to D&D 2024, all the other things we're willing to forgive in the reality of D&D, but we're drawing the line at this picture. I'm sorry. Nope. I'm willing to forgive everything else, but darn dang it, there ain't no tacos and sushi and onigiri in my D&D. Because, why? Because it's not consistent with what? With the rest of the D&D world, where you have multiple races, multiple monsters, several creatures that make absolutely no sense whatsoever, magic, multiple dimensions, multiple planets, the presence of gods, but you draw the line at sushi. I don't know. It just looks to me like the menu from Cheesecake Factory. You ever seen the menu from Cheesecake Factory? They literally have Mexican food, Chinese food, pasta, American food, all sorts of things. So I'm not surprised, or a buffet in Vegas. Have you ever seen a buffet in Vegas? They got sushi, tacos, pizza. They don't make any sense. There's no consistency to a buffet in Vegas. There's no consistency to Cheesecake Factory. There's no consistency to this meal if you're willing to accept the reality of the consistency of Dungeons and Dragons, which is this is a fantasy game and there is no consistency because it's not based on any real life. Real life medieval food during the Dark Ages sucked. Sucked. Okay? First off, actual medieval Dark Ages cooking pretty much was, will this work? If you look at some of the menus that have been documented from those periods of time, and like the Domesday books and the historical stuff that they found in like the old castles and stuff, those guys would just do anything and hope it worked. Like one of them was like swans stuffed with eels, and you think that's a joke, but no, that was a real thing. They killed a swan, they cooked it, sliced it open, stuffed it with eels, put it on a table because maybe it'll work. There was a lot of weird shit in medieval food, but one of the many number one causes of death in the medieval ages was dysentery from eating that weird food. The God of culinary never intended you to put eels in a swan, but whatever, we'll give it a try. They ate it because for every 10 failures, they got one success, and then they just ran with the success. So I don't think you want a historically accurately consistent meal at your D&D table because it would kind of suck. But again, yes, is this picture consistent? It's consistent with a buffet at Las Vegas. It's consistent with a Cheesecake Factory. It's consistent with the fact that we accept that D&D exists. We accept that there are multiple races and cultures in D&D. Therefore, it is not hard for me to accept that of the elves, dwarves, gnomes, halflings, tieflings, humans, half vampires, half dragons, half orcs, half elves, half carrots, that one of them didn't come up with the idea of taking meat, wrapping it in bread. And then somebody else went and said, okay, well, I've got the bread, but why don't we make a tortilla? Again, one of the first foods ever made. And then somebody else said, okay, well, why don't we put the bread in the tortilla? Because it's the shape of your hand. It'll be easier to carry. Okay. And the same with sushi. Hey, we're going to eat some fish. Okay. Hey, wouldn't it be easier if we could wrap the fish in something so we could take it with us? Yeah, what have we got to wrap it in? I don't know. Seaweed? Okay, wrapping the fish in seaweed seems to make kind of sense, but we need something to hold it together because otherwise the fish is just going to fall out. Rice? We got a lot of rice. I mean, the logic of Dungeons and Dragons leads me to believe more likely that this food would be invented than it wouldn't. It is highly more percentage-wise that I would think that somebody in D&D culture in a world where all these multiple races exist would have gone and invented something that we would know as sushi or tacos or onigiri or just everything else in this picture that people have upset with. So if your only complaint is it violates the internal consistency of Dungeons and Dragons, I would remind you that there is no internal consistency for Dungeons and Dragons, and this is not anything to be upset about. But told HG I would not talk about her controversy, but I had to talk about a controversy today. So in the game of Goblins with Sticks, in this week's episode of Tabletop Role-Playing Game Controversy Jeopardy, I'll take inconsistency in Dungeons & Dragons for 200, Alex. I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate these rants, let me know. If you think I'm just wasting your time, let me know. Till next time, stay safe out there. I'll see ya.
News from the table in the rolling waves, dice in our hand, we're the dungeon's brave. Adventures tonight with our mighty team.